My name is Nora Anderson, and I am 34 years old. For years, I believed family was supposed to be a source of love and protection, but my experience has shattered that illusion completely. Growing up, my parents, Gerald and Nancy, made it painfully clear who their favorite child was: my younger brother, Ethan. He was the golden boy, the one excused for every mistake, while I was expected to carry the weight of responsibility without thanks or support. Our suburban home in Chicago looked perfect on the outside, with its white picket fence and manicured lawn, but inside it was a place where favoritism and cruelty ruled. Whenever Ethan failed or struggled, my parents showered him with encouragement and financial bailouts. When I succeeded, their praise was minimal or non-existent. They told me I was naturally strong and did not need as much help, but that strength felt like being left to fend for myself. As the eldest child, I learned early to become fiercely independent because I could not rely on them for emotional support. While my friends rebelled in their teenage years, I worked part-time jobs, saved every dollar, and earned a scholarship to study graphic design at a prestigious university. My achievements meant little to my family. Ethan dropped out of 3 colleges, but was always bailed out financially by our parents. During my final year of college, I met Robert, a man who was everything my family was not: supportive, kind, and proud of me. We married quietly, with my parents attending, but barely smiling, and Ethan absent altogether. Robert and I built a life filled with respect and love, and when our son Liam was born 8 years ago, I finally felt the family I deserved. Then tragedy struck. Robert died suddenly in a workplace accident. My parents' attention shifted back to Ethan and his reckless ventures, while I struggled alone to raise Liam and keep our design business afloat. Despite their limited involvement, I maintained contact with my parents for Liam's sake. They appeared to care, but their love came with conditions I could never accept. What they did next would test me like nothing before, and it all started with a demand from Ethan that would change everything. The storm was only beginning. After everything I had been through, I thought my family might finally see me for who I really was: a mother doing her best, a woman fighting to keep her son safe, and our business alive. But my brother Ethan had other plans. One rainy Tuesday, he showed up at my home office unannounced and dripping with false charm. He wore expensive clothes I knew he did not earn, carrying that familiar air of entitlement that made my skin crawl. "Nora, my favorite sister," he said with a smirk, arms wide as if expecting a warm hug. I reminded him calmly but firmly, "I am your only sister, Ethan." We exchanged polite small talk while I tried to focus on my deadline, but I knew better. I knew he was there because he wanted something, and that something was always more money. Then he dropped the bomb. "I have an incredible investment opportunity I want you to hear about before I take it to Mom and Dad." I raised an eyebrow, already wary. Ethan's so-called opportunities had burned through thousands of dollars before with no results. But this time, he swore it was different. Cryptocurrency, a new coin called Secure Coin, was about to explode. He needed $30,000 to get in early. "I will pay you back $50,000 in 6 months, he promised, voice dripping with false confidence. I almost laughed. How many times had he said that? I told him no. Not this time. My research confirmed my fears. Secure Coin was a scam with anonymous founders and sky-high promises that made no sense. When I refused, Ethan unleashed a storm of accusations, calling me selfish, jealous, and unsupportive. When words failed, he threatened to tell our parents I was withholding family help. And just like that, the war began. My parents, without even asking for my side, took Ethan's word as gospel. Calls flooded in, filled with disappointment, anger, and guilt trips. "Family helps family," my father said coldly. "You are abandoning your responsibilities." I tried to explain, to offer help, finding legitimate investments, but my words were ignored. Then came the worst. They took out a second mortgage on their house to fund Ethan's scam, the same house that was supposed to be Liam's inheritance. I was stunned. What kind of family weaponizes innocent children to punish their own daughter? How could they betray me like this and expect me to stay silent? It was a betrayal so deep it shook me to my core. And yet this was just the beginning of a story that would test every ounce of my strength. Before we move on, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been betrayed by family? How did you handle it? comment below, and hit subscribe to support more real stories like mine. Your voice matters. ChatGPT Janoi. After refusing Ethan's reckless demand, the family atmosphere turned toxic almost overnight. My parents, who I once believed would stand by me, instead, became weapons in Ethan's hands. They treated me like a criminal for protecting myself and my son, Liam. "Why can't you just help your brother?" My mother's voice dripped with false disappointment during one of the endless phone calls. I was accused of being selfish, cold, and ungrateful, words meant to cut deep, but that only fueled my determination to shield Liam from their toxic drama. My parents' fixation on Ethan's failed schemes was relentless, and their support for him seemed endless, even when it drained their savings and risked their home. Meanwhile, I was left to juggle the mounting stress of running our small design business alone while raising Liam without a partner or family support. The ultimate betrayal came when I received a call that my parents had taken a second mortgage on their house to fund Ethan's scam. That house was supposed to be Liam's future security. I was horrified and heartbroken that they would gamble it all on a scheme that I knew was a fraud. How could they value Ethan's empty promises over their own grandchild's future? The anger that rose in me was fierce, but so was my resolve. They were playing a dangerous game, using money and lies to manipulate and punish me, and I was not going to let them win. Then came the worst part, my son. My parents decided to punish me in the cruelest way possible. One day, I received a call from the local police, informing me that Liam had been found alone at a church. My heart stopped. The people who were supposed to protect and love my son had abandoned him to teach me a lesson. The image of Liam, confused and scared, sitting alone with a note from my parents, blaming me for the family drama, haunts me still. That moment was a gut punch that exposed the full extent of their betrayal. They weaponized an innocent child to manipulate me, crossing a line that no family should ever cross. But this betrayal lit a fire within me. I refused to be broken or silenced. I sought legal help, fought back with everything I had, and began building a new kind of family, a family that protected Liam and refused to accept toxic betrayal as the norm. This was more than a fight for money or respect. It was a fight for my son's safety, my dignity, and my future. The story does not end here, and the battle for justice and healing has just begun. But I promise you, no betrayal is too deep to overcome, and no family bond is worth sacrificing your peace of mind. Stay with me to hear what happened next in this painful and powerful journey. The shock of finding out Liam had been abandoned at a church by my own parents sent me into a whirlwind of disbelief and fury. How could the people who were supposed to protect him, who had raised me, stoop so low? This was no longer just family drama. It was a calculated act of cruelty, using my innocent son as a pawn to punish me for refusing to bankroll Ethan's reckless schemes. The betrayal was gut-wrenching, but I knew I had to stay strong for Liam's sake. I immediately called the police, and the officers who took our statements looked as horrified as I felt. They told me this was an extreme case of neglect and emotional abuse. The church volunteer who had cared for Liam described him as confused and scared, clutching a note from my parents blaming me for tearing the family apart. The weight of that moment settled heavily on my chest. I realized that my parents were willing to traumatize their own grandchild just to manipulate me. The following days were a blur of phone calls, visits from social workers, and frantic efforts to ensure Liam's safety. My parents, meanwhile, doubled down on their accusations, painting me as the selfish one who refused to help family in need. They spun lies to relatives, turning them against me, and even blocked me on social media. It was a toxic isolation I had never imagined. But I was not alone. My best friend Alicia showed up without hesitation, offering support and comfort when I needed it most. Her kindness and unwavering presence became a lifeline for both me and Liam during this darkest time. With Alicia's encouragement, I hired a lawyer specializing in family law and a child psychologist for Liam, determined to protect him from further harm and begin the long road to healing. The legal battle was daunting, with mounting costs and emotional exhaustion, but every fight was worth it to safeguard my son's future. As Liam struggled with nightmares and anxiety, I learned how deeply a child can absorb the trauma of betrayal, even when they are too young to fully understand it. The school community rallied around us, offering support and kindness that restored a small sense of normalcy. Yet the damage my parents inflicted was undeniable. This wasn't just a family dispute, it was a profound betrayal that shattered trust and changed everything. Their willingness to sacrifice Liam's safety for their own selfish interests sparked a fierce fire within me. I vowed to never let toxic family dynamics define our lives. This painful experience taught me the harsh truth. Family is not just about blood or shared history, it is about who truly shows up when it matters most. As Liam and I began to rebuild, I understood that sometimes protecting those you love means setting hard boundaries and walking away from those who harm you. The fight is far from over and the scars run deep, but I promise to keep sharing this journey with you because no one deserves to suffer in silence. Stay with me to hear how I took back control and found strength in the face of such profound betrayal. The betrayal my parents inflicted on Liam was only the beginning of a much darker story. As the weeks passed, I uncovered the depth of their complicity in Ethan's reckless and deceptive schemes. What shocked me most wasn't just their emotional abandonment, it was the fact that they had mortgaged their house to fund his so-called investment in secure coin, a cryptocurrency scam that was about to implode. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. Not only had they betrayed their grandson's safety, but they had also jeopardized their entire financial future for my brother's selfish ambitions. The weight of their decisions hung heavy over our family, like a storm cloud ready to burst. While I was dealing with the trauma of Liam's abandonment and the mounting legal battles, I discovered Ethan's true role in the scam. He wasn't merely a victim. He was actively recruiting investors, including family members, promising impossible returns to lure them in. The FBI soon came knocking, and the investigation revealed that my brother had exploited everyone's trust for his gain. I remember the cold knot in my stomach when the FBI agent sat at my kitchen table, confirming that Ethan was deeply involved as a recruiter in the fraudulent operation. The money he sought from me would have pushed him into a higher commission bracket. It was horrifying to realize that the same person who abandoned his nephew at a church was also using lies to drag others into his web of deceit. My parents' denial was infuriating. They acted as if they were innocent bystanders, victims themselves. But the damning emails I presented at a tense family meeting left no room for doubt. The very documents showed Ethan's direct involvement in convincing them to mortgage their house, with chilling references to working on my sister to get her to invest. Watching the cold truth unravel before them was a moment of bitter justice. Yet instead of remorse, I was met with defiance and bitterness. My mother cried, but her tears rang hollow. My father looked defeated, but refused to accept responsibility. Ethan tried to paint himself as the victim of circumstance, blaming his addiction and desperation, but his excuses fell flat. That family confrontation was painful and raw. I laid out my terms, strict boundaries, supervised visitation with Liam, mandatory therapy, and full cooperation with the FBI investigation. Their refusal to sign the agreement made it clear they were unwilling to change or accept the damage they caused. Yet I stood firm, knowing that protecting Liam meant holding them accountable, no matter how difficult. Through it all, I found strength in my resolve to break the cycle of dysfunction. The betrayal burned deep, but it ignited a fierce determination to rebuild a healthier life for Liam and me. I learned that sometimes the people born into your family are not the ones who truly deserve your trust or love. True family is built on respect, loyalty, and support, not manipulation or betrayal. This chapter of our story is far from over, but I share it with you to remind anyone facing similar pain that standing up for yourself and those you love is the hardest and most important fight. You deserve to protect your peace and your family, even when it means walking away from those who hurt you. Please comment below if you have faced family betrayal and what helped you survive. Don't forget to subscribe for more stories of resilience and justice. Your voice matters. Let's grow stronger together. The aftermath of the family confrontation left a harsh truth settling over my life like a dark cloud. My parents' refusal to take responsibility or show genuine remorse only deepened the wounds they had inflicted. Their actions had shattered the fragile trust Liam once had in them, and I knew the damage ran far deeper than just the lost mortgage or the legal battles ahead. What tore me apart most was seeing how their selfishness had traumatized my innocent son, the very child they were supposed to protect. Liam's nightmares, clinginess, and fear of abandonment haunted every day, reminding me of the cruel reality we now faced. My brother Ethan's legal troubles unfolded slowly but painfully. He avoided jail time by cooperating fully with authorities, agreeing to probation, mandatory gambling addiction treatment, and community service. Yet his crimes had left a toxic legacy on our family, one that would take years to heal if it ever fully did. Meanwhile, my parents lost the house they mortgaged for Ethan's scheme and had to downsize, barely managing to scrape together a modest apartment with help from distant relatives. But the financial ruin was only the surface damage. Their relationship with Liam and me remained fractured, filled with mistrust and resentment. Over the months, small steps toward healing began, but progress was agonizingly slow. My mother sent Liam simple birthday cards without manipulation or guilt, which was a small but meaningful gesture. The supervised visits with Liam at neutral locations, accompanied by therapy, marked the first time our interactions were free from hostility or drama. However, my father's stubborn pride kept him distant, refusing to truly acknowledge the damage caused or engage in any meaningful repair. The emotional gulf between us felt insurmountable at times. Amidst this turmoil, a surprising ally emerged: my Aunt Helen, my father's estranged sister. She reached out with quiet understanding and shared painful stories of her own struggles with our toxic family patterns. Her support became a lifeline, affirming my decision to break free from the cycle of abuse and manipulation. Helen reminded me that sometimes the family we are born into is not the family we deserve, and sometimes healing means building new bonds with those who truly care. Professionally, the hardships forced me to focus on my graphic design business as a form of control amid chaos. That focus paid off as new clients and opportunities came my way, enabling me to create a stable environment for Liam and myself. The strength I gained was not just about survival. It was about reclaiming my life on my terms. The most powerful lesson I learned is that family is more than blood. It is the people who show up, support, and love you unconditionally without using you as a pawn in their selfish games. Liam and I found our chosen family in friends, colleagues, and neighbors who stood by us through the darkest days. We created new traditions filled with laughter, support, and genuine care, the kind of family I always wanted for my son. This journey of pain, betrayal, and resilience is far from over, but every step forward is a victory. To anyone listening who faces similar struggles, remember your worth is not defined by those who betray you. Protect your peace and build your own family of love and respect. Please share your thoughts and experiences below, and subscribe to join a community where your story matters and healing begins. The deeper the betrayal, the more it carved scars in my heart. After months of legal battles and emotional strain, it became clear that the damage my family inflicted would not simply disappear with apologies or court rulings. Liam's trauma was a daily reminder of their cruelty the nights he woke, screaming the hesitation in his eyes whenever his grandparents were mentioned, the way he clung to me like a lifeline. My parents had crossed a line no one should ever cross, using an innocent child as a weapon to punish me. That thought alone filled me with a rage so raw, it fueled every decision I made to protect Liam and myself. As the dust settled, I realized that their betrayal was not just about money or pride. It was a toxic pattern, a lifelong game of favoritism and manipulation that my brother Ethan played like a master. His reckless schemes had drained our parents' retirement, forced them into foreclosure, and shattered what little peace our family had left. Worse, he had tried to drag me into his mess, expecting me to bankroll his scams simply because we shared blood. When I refused, they turned on me not just verbally, but with actions that scarred Liam forever. Despite Ethan's legal consequences, including probation and mandatory treatment, the damage extended far beyond the courtroom. The fractures in our family ran too deep to be repaired overnight. My parents' emotional distance, their refusal to fully accept responsibility, and their stubbornness made any reconciliation nearly impossible. The fact that they could abandon their own grandson, then expect forgiveness and support from me, was beyond comprehension. Their selfishness was staggering. But amidst the chaos, a spark of hope appeared in unexpected places. My Aunt Helen, a relative I barely knew, reached out with empathy and wisdom, born of her own experience with family dysfunction. Her support reminded me that healing often means breaking toxic cycles and building new foundations, chosen families built on love and respect, not blood ties or obligation. Helen's words gave me strength to keep moving forward, to protect Liam's innocence and rebuild our lives free from the chains of betrayal. Professionally, I channeled my anger and heartbreak into growing my business. With each new client and successful project, I reclaimed a piece of myself that had been lost amid the family drama. That business was more than a livelihood. It was my statement of resilience, a proof that I would not be defined by the betrayal I endured. This journey has taught me that true family protects, nurtures, and uplifts rather than exploits and hurts. Liam and I found that kind of family in friends and community people who showed up without judgment, who stood by us unconditionally. Together, we created new traditions filled with laughter, safety, and love. The road ahead is still long, and the wounds may never fully heal, but we are stronger for the battle we have fought. To anyone facing similar pain, remember this: you are not alone, and your worth is not measured by those who betray you. Stand firm, protect your peace, and build the family you deserve. If this story touched you, please share your experiences in the comments and subscribe to join our community of strength and healing. The final months after the courtroom battle were a mixture of raw emotions and harsh realities that tested every fiber of my being. Liam's nightmares persisted, each scream piercing my heart like a dagger. The man who should have been his protector had become a source of fear. The innocence that should have been his sanctuary was shattered by the very people who were supposed to love him unconditionally. I watched him withdraw from the world, clutching at the small comforts I could provide, but knowing nothing could fully erase the scars left by betrayal. My parents' refusal to fully accept the consequences was maddening. They dismissed their actions as a mistake or misunderstanding, trivializing the profound pain they caused. Their inability to face the truth made every step toward healing feel like walking through quicksand. I kept reminding myself that this was about protecting Liam's future, not punishing my parents. But their denial only deepened the divide, making reconciliation a distant, almost impossible dream. Meanwhile, Ethan's presence lingered like a dark cloud. His gambling addiction was no secret now, and the path he had dragged us all down was littered with broken promises and lost trust. Watching him grapple with his demons was painful, but it was the consequences of his actions, the ruin he left behind, that stoked my fury. He had betrayed not only me, but the entire family, and I was left to pick up the pieces. In the midst of this turmoil, Aunt Helen's support became my anchor. Her stories of her own family's toxic cycles gave me perspective and strength. She reminded me that family isn't always about blood. It's about who chooses to stand by you when everything falls apart. That idea became my mantra. I started to focus on rebuilding a life for Liam and me that was free from manipulation, where love was unconditional and respect mutual. I found solace in my work, pouring my energy into my business like never before. Each client, each successful project was a small victory over the chaos my family had wrought. It was a way to reclaim control, to prove that the betrayals I endured would not define me or my son. My resilience became my rebellion, a declaration that I was not broken, only stronger. The new traditions we created with friends and chosen family filled the void left by those who had abandoned us. Birthday parties with genuine laughter, quiet dinners with people who truly cared, and simple moments of peace, these became the fabric of our new life. Liam's smiles, though sometimes fleeting, were brighter, and his laughter a balm to my weary soul. The journey is far from over. The wounds of betrayal run deep, and healing is neither linear nor easy. But I have learned that protecting your peace and your children is the greatest act of love. True family does not hurt you or use you as a pawn. True family builds you up, stands by you, and loves without conditions. If you are fighting your own battles with toxic family dynamics, remember this: your worth is not defined by those who betray you. You have the strength to break the cycle and build a new legacy. Stay strong, protect your peace, and choose your family wisely. If this story resonates with you, please share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to our channel for more stories of strength, resilience, and healing. Your voice matters, and together, we rise. The months following the courtroom showdown were some of the darkest in my life, but they also brought a clarity I never expected. Liam's nightmares continued to haunt him, each one a cruel reminder of the trauma inflicted by those who should have protected him. His small body trembled at the thought of grandparents who abandoned him, leaving scars deeper than I could ever erase. I sat with him through the nights, holding him close, whispering promises that he was safe and loved beyond measure. Yet the betrayal lingered like a shadow over our lives, making every day a battle to keep hope alive. My parents' refusal to acknowledge the gravity of their actions was infuriating. They called it a misunderstanding, but it was calculated cruelty, a punishment disguised as concern. Their cold denial made every effort toward healing feel futile. The man who once raised me could not face the damage he caused, and the woman who gave birth to me seemed more invested in protecting her own pride than in repairing the shattered trust. I realized then that forgiveness would never come easily, if at all. Ethan's downfall was a bitter pill to swallow. His gambling addiction and reckless choices had dragged our family into ruin, and the ripple effects still unsettled us. Knowing he had led our parents into financial devastation while lying to everyone shook me to my core. It was a betrayal on multiple levels of family trust and decency. Watching him face the consequences was painful, but I could not let the anger consume me. Instead, I focused on shielding Liam from further harm. In the midst of the chaos, Aunt Helen's unwavering support became my lifeline. She helped me see that family was not just blood, but those who stood with us when life fell apart. That insight reshaped everything. I began building a new life anchored in unconditional love, respect, and genuine connection, values my birth family had long forgotten. I channeled my pain into my work, creating stability and a future for Liam that was no longer tethered to toxicity. We crafted new traditions with chosen family and friends, simple moments of joy that filled the void left by betrayal. Liam's laughter gradually returned, a sign that healing, while slow, was possible. Yet I never forgot the lessons learned, that love should never come with conditions, and that sometimes protecting your family means cutting ties with those who cause harm. If you are watching and struggling with toxic family dynamics, know you are not alone. Your worth is not measured by those who betray you, but by your strength to rise above and create a new path. Protect your peace, cherish your true family, and never settle for anything less than love without manipulation. If this story touched you, please comment below and subscribe to our channel for more powerful stories of resilience and triumph. Your voice matters, and together we stand stronger.